guys, so the subject that I'm going to be talking to you all today is about fear. This is the inspirational type thing that I normally do once a week. However, I normally have this up by Wednesdays, but I got sick and my boys have been sick, so I'm kind of behind on doing this. I have 4 kids, so I jotted this stuff down throughout this week best as I could. So if it's like some of the words are jumbled up, I'm sorry. It's just I stay busy a lot, but these are things that I want to share with you all. Again, this is going to be on fear, and it's going to be during the times that I found out I had heart trouble and the times that I was going through that time. So the subject is fear. In 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind." Psalms 56:3 says, "When I'm afraid, I will put my trust in you." Psalms 91:11 says, "He shall give his angels charge over you to keep you in all of your ways." Isaiah 43:2-3. "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze, for I am the Lord your God." 1 Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all of your anxiety on him, because he cares for you." I first found out I had something wrong with me when I was giving birth to my youngest daughter, Gracie. My heart was beating so fast, it got up to like 290. The doctors rushed this EKG on me at the time. All of that was going on. He thought it was pregnancy related, but it wasn't. It was so scary. I remember praying, "Lord, don't let me or my baby die." I said, if I had to pick, take me instead. I remember my mom and Mama first came in the room with me. I didn't want to scare them, so I told them to go to the waiting room because I didn't feel good. Several times I blacked out. They gave me blood pressure medicine and heart medications. 3 weeks after I gave birth to Gracie, my mother passed away. She had an aneurysm in her heart. Let's see here. I'm thankful God kept me and her that day. After all of that was done and over, I was sent to a heart doctor. He told me it was from hormones/pregnancy related, but I knew it wasn't. One night, I was asleep. I woke up gasping for breath. Couldn't breathe. Heart was beating and flipping out of my chest. My left arm was numb, and I was very sick. Now, my mom had died like 3 weeks after I gave birth to Gracie. This had happened like shortly after my mom died. I yelled out to my husband, "Call 911. I think I'm having a heart attack." He at first thought it was just a normal episode I had at the time. I said, "No, call them. Something's wrong." I couldn't move. He then picked me up and carried me to the couch. It seemed like it took for eternity for the ambulance to get to the house. I was passing out and was cold and clammy. It was by far the worst feeling ever. When they finally got to the house, Justin's mama came to be with the kids. I remember as they was carrying me out, I looked and my oldest daughter must had woke up. I was so upset that she had to see this, and I was thinking in my mind that could be the last time I saw my little girl and kids. It took them forever to get me hooked up and ready to leave. I was scared. I told them to hurry, just get me to the hospital. Justin wasn't with me on the ambulance. He followed. While going to the ambulance, was going to take me to the nearest hospital, but they called some other hospital and was told to take me to Park West. Halfway there, it got worse. My heart wouldn't slow down. They turned the siren on, and they called the hospital back. I could feel my body leaving me. I was so scared. I remember saying a prayer, and I told my mama, "Well, I guess I'm going to be with you soon." I said, "God, please forgive me of my sins." I said, "I don't want to die." I said, "I have I said I have kids that need me and a husband. When I spoke that prayer, a peace came over me. I could feel my mama on the cot with me. They ended up giving me a shot that was supposed to stop your heart. It felt like my heart was breaking or exploding. My heart rate still wouldn't slow down. It was beating around 300s. When I got to the hospital, they rushed all of these tests on me. The doctor said I could have a lot damage where my heart rate got up so high, but thank God I didn't. God had his hands on me. So after all of that, I had to go back to my heart doctor. More tests was given, and I was diagnosed with SVT, supraventricular tachycardia. This is where the electric part of your heart isn't beating right, or in other words, wired right. I was put on medication. He said it would help me, but I only got worse. More heart spells at night, and during the day, my husband had to work, so I was here at home by myself. Having spells with your heart and your babies with you is terrifying. Fear had overcome me. I lived in fear every day. I was so afraid I was going to die in front of my kids. I was afraid I was going to die like my mama and daddy young. Many of times I'd call my husband to come home. I was so afraid to be alone. I'm thankful for the boss that he had at the time. She worked with him, gave him all the time she needed. I was then given a different, stronger type of medication, which didn't help. It made me worse. It bottomed my blood pressure, and I felt like I was going to lose my mind. When my blood pressure stayed so low, I couldn't function. Well, the doctor said the next option was the cath lab. A cath lab is where they go through your groin and run wires up to your heart, and in my case, they had to set the SVT off, making my heart speed up. Then if they can, ablate the area. When it was time for me to go into surgery that morning, I remember hugging my kids. I was so afraid it would have been my last time. I wouldn't see them anymore. When dealing with your heart and surgery, it's serious. So I ended up being in surgery for over 8 hours. I was awake the whole entire time. I felt every bit of it. They gave me some nerve medication to calm me, but it didn't. They ended up ablating 7 or 8 areas in my heart. They couldn't ablate the area called sleep node, or I would have had to get a pacemaker. I had to lay on my back for 6 hours. When it was time to take, I don't know what it was. It was like a little thing that they put the wires through your groin with. But when it was time to take that out, I blacked out, and they had to, let's see, when they had to take it out, like blood started like coming out like a whole lot, and so they had to fix that, and then they had to like lay me back. They tilt the bed back to where my head was like laying back to where something about my blood pressure, but luckily they got that fixed. And I have this all jumbled the wrong way, but anyways. I ended up in the hospital for a day. After the surgery, I had shortness of breath for a couple of weeks. It was such a scary feeling. I ended up having to have another surgery a year or so later. They then ablated 2 areas. I got pregnant with Isaiah, and I didn't know it at the time. I was almost 3 months pregnant. I was on a heart medication that could affect the baby if you were pregnant. I was so afraid it would hurt him, and the heart doctor had told me if I had ever gotten pregnant again, and if it came down to it, I would have to have an abortion because of the heart issue. I told my husband that he was a gift from God, so God would see us through, and everything would be okay. When they did the ultrasound, they couldn't see his fingers. So I stopped right there, so I'm just going to explain the rest of it. So they couldn't see his fingers, and the whole time I carried him all the way until I gave birth to him, he came out, and of course he had all of his fingers and stuff, which was, you know, a blessing from the Lord, because I worried the whole entire time. And then when I was pregnant with him one time, I stopped writing, so I'm just going to talk to you about it. I think I was like 8 months pregnant. I had an SVT attack like in the middle of the night, and I woke up gasping for breath and stuff, which is typically normal, you know, but when you're pregnant, it's worse because of course, you have your baby inside of you and stuff, and your hormones are outrageous and stuff. But anyways, I jumped up, my heart was racing, the same usual stuff, and then that whole time, the baby stopped moving. Like, he didn't move for like 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and I felt something within me, like something was so bad wrong, because he just stopped moving, which I was asleep. But normally, you know, through the night, my babies would move a lot, because that's like when my babies would wake up and stuff. So I got scared, and I called the hospital, and they're like, well, just drink a lot of water, and if the baby don't start moving, you need to come in. So I had like this big old jug of water, and I drank like 1 or 2 of them, and I kept praying, and I was scared, and I was crying, and I just felt awful, like something was wrong. And then all of a sudden, I started, you know, feeling him in my stomach. I was like, thank the Lord. But I mean, that was just some things that, dealing with SVT and heart, you know, your heart, things like that could happen when you're pregnant and stuff, which is very scary. So me being able to have him was a blessing from God. He is a miracle baby. Then, after when I had him, I got put off my medication for a while, because that medicine that they gave me was too high for me to take, and it was just messing my body up and stuff. Well, I kept having my spells and stuff, so I had to go back to the heart doctor, and he's like, you know, I can't do any more for you here, so I'm going to send you to Nashville. More than likely, he will tell you the same thing that he had told me. So I got to Nashville, and as soon as I got there, they put you off your medicine for like a week before you had that surgery. When I got there and they hooked me up, I was already in the sinus tach mode, where my heart was like just resting. It was like 120, 130. So he knew right then that I was having it. And before he took me back, he had told me that. And it was in Nashville. It's like the best doctor, you know, in this area to get that done. And I told him, I said, you know, if you ablate that area and I have to get a pacemaker, just don't mess with it. You know, I'll deal with it. So when he got in there, I was scared, because it was a lot different than, you know, Knoxville one. And I'll never forget it. There was this older guy, and he walked up to me, and he said, honey, like, he was taking care of me. Like, there was like 3 or 4 other people. And he looked at me, and he said, honey, he said, I've got a daughter, and he said, I'm going to take care of you like, you know, I was his. And that made me feel so much better. So I got all that done, and after when they wheeled me back, of course, they couldn't do anything. The area that's messed up in my heart that they can't ablate, I would have to get a pacemaker if they messed with that. So, luckily, that doctor gave me this medicine called Proprolol. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's only 10 milligrams 3 times a day, which is a lower dose compared to all of my other medications. I took atenolol and metoprolol, and I think another one. All of those just didn't work for me. They just jacked my body up. So all of that whole experience for me was definitely a experience for me that I went through. I had so much fear. It was scary, very scary for me. Having babies at a young, you know, I was young. My mom was dead. My dad was dead. And me dealing with all these issues in my own body, and then in the back of my mind, I was thinking, you know, I'm going to die. I'm going to die like my parents. They were young, I'm young, and I'm going to die. That went through my mind, especially when the ambulance had to pick me up. I mean, it was so scary. I could literally feel my body coming out of my body, if that makes sense. If you've ever had that experience, then you know what I'm talking about. But, you know, through all of this, I knew that God had his hand on me, and I knew either way, if he took me out or if he kept me, that, you know, I would be okay. I remember after when I had all these surgeries and stuff, I had went to this church, And this lady, she was about my age. She had came up to me, and she too had heart trouble, like, but her heart would stop and she would like pass out and stuff, which was scary for her, but she's healed now. She's better. And she came up to me and she asked if she could pray for me. Well, she did. And I felt this 2 or 3 times in my whole time since I've been sick with my heart. And that girl had prayed for me from my chest all the way up to my neck. It was on fire. It was like somebody had like, it's like kind of if you have like allergic reaction, you feel that hot feeling. It was from here up. And I knew whenever I was getting prayed for that God was touching me in a special way. And there until now, I still have my rapid heartbeat sometimes, but my medicine keeps that under control. But it's not, knock on wood, I don't wake up anymore gasping for breath. I don't wake up and my heart flipping out of my chest. Normally my heart would just race and you could literally see my shirt moving, and it would just feel like your whole heart was turning. Many a nights I would sit up and just fear would take over me, and I would pray and then I would lay back down. And so many times after going through with all that, I got so used to that being my normal. And after so long, I'm like, whatever. I would lay back down. I would go to sleep and say, if I die and if I don't wake up, I'm in God's hands. But I made it through it, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that He had His hand on me and that He watched over me. Does stuff like that run in my mind now? Yes, it does. If I ever so often, I will have a spell. Like, it's very rarely, but when I do, it's very noticeable and it's scary. And I guess that comes with the package of my parents being gone. It's just part of it. You know, I'm young. My parents died young, and that's just a fear that the devil, it's not God, the devil has put on my life to make me think that I could possibly die at a young age, which no one knows. Like, none of us are promised tomorrow. But that's just some trials in my life that I had to overcome. And I'm thankful for, like, all of the many prayers that people had prayed for me, because that's the main thing. You know, when you're dealing with a sickness or like seeing your loved one suffer or whatever it might be, a main thing is prayer. I know some of you may not believe in God, but I'm speaking for me and for myself. Prayer is what brought me through, and trusting in God and believing in His healing power, because without God, you know, we're nothing. And I'm just so very thankful and gracious for God always keeping His hand of protection over me and my family. I don't know, you know, this is just things that I feel like sharing on my channel for some reason. I don't know if it's, you know, where a lot of y'all don't know about the things in my life that I've been through. I just feel like it would, like, my testimonies could help others if they're dealing with something such as this. I mean, it don't even have to be your heart. It could just be things in your life that you're battling with. And every morning, whenever I'd get up and I'd have this fear on me, I'd just say, this too shall pass. And that's just something that would come to my mind, so I would quote that over and over. And one time I had got this CD, and it was Adam and Amanda Crabb. And during that time, I was having all this stuff with my heart going on, and this song really carried me through. It's called Something About the Name of Jesus. And it says there's power in the name of Jesus. There's strength in the power of Jesus. And then there was a verse talking about, there are days I would feel the enemy surround me. If I would breathe, he would come and devour me. But I speak the name, such a wonderful name of Jesus. That song just done it for me. Like, it just came in over my life. And I would sing that song, and I would play it in my kitchen on days that I would have all these kind of spells and stuff. And I'm thankful that God touched me. And I'm not healed 100%, but I did get healed that day when that girl prayed for me, because those spells have since left me. I don't wake up anymore in the night, and you know, I'm so thankful for that, because that was such a hard time for me in my life. But that's something that I overcome, and that's something that I got through with. So guys, whatever you're going through, just keep on going on, because you too will overcome. It's just a matter of time, and it's just how long that it's meant for you to go through things in your life. So that's just a little something that I wanted to share, and I hope y'all enjoyed this. I don't really have nothing else to say, but I will come up with something for next week. I've went over a whole lot of stuff in my life already, so that's like some of the main things that, you know, occurred in my life. But I appreciate all of y'all so much, and all of the kindness that y'all show on my channel, all of the sweet comments. Guys, that right there really makes my heart smile. So I'm really blessed, and I'm thankful for each and every one of y'all. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.